First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Will Punkett. First at 4, just so everybody knows, we might possibly be standing by for a CBS special report at any moment. We will try and update you if that does come across the wire. But now let's get into Eastern Kentucky news. Yesterday, the Appalachian Regional Prescription Opioid Strike Force charged 60 people in a massive takedown. Pikeville Medical Center is helping fight the opioid epidemic with the new procedure. iovera is a non-opioid way to manage pain by treating peripheral nerves. WYMT's Marianne Fletcher tells us more.
Using iovera, doctors literally freeze the nerves to lessen pain.
Anything you can do to control pain without narcotics is a winner for those patients.
Pikeville Medical Center is one of the few hospitals in the state offering this non-opioid way to manage pain after knee replacement surgery. iovera uses a form of cryoablation.
What that simply means is it's a way to freeze the nerves so they temporarily stop working and sending pain signals up to the brain that we feel.
Orthopedic surgeon Kevin Pugh says many of his patients have a rough history with narcotics.
We have a lot of patients that do have substance abuse problems or in the past, and they don't want to go back down that road.
The 20-minute process will help doctors decrease dosages while decreasing the risk for addiction.
And they still need something. This is not a 100% pain relief. But, even if it's 10 or 20%, and you could decrease narcotics by 10 or 20%, that's a big deal for the patient.
And although it is not completely painless,
it's a little bit of a painful thing. They will numb them up a little bit.
The effects will help patients get back to their normal routines.
The less narcotics, the quicker the recovery, the less sickness patients have, the less potential they have for addiction to narcotics.
Pugh says iovera is a real game changer. In Pike County, Marianne Fletcher, WYMT Mountain News.
iovera also decreases the length of stay for patients from 3 days in the hospital to essentially overnight. Tonight at 6, we will hear from an anesthesiologist about his experience with the device.
It was another beautiful and very warm day here in the mountains. We saw plenty of sunshine again, but we saw those partly cloudy skies, and we're actually going to see those increase as we head into those overnight hours. You'll notice here on our Stonecrest cam over into Prestonsburg, we're dealing with those mostly sunny skies, while the rest of us are dealing with those partly cloudy skies. You'll notice that satellite and radar, those clouds in and out throughout the day, but you'll notice the thicker clouds out to our west ahead of that cold front that'll be moving in a little bit later this evening. Good news is, though, the temperatures are still warm for now. Make sure to get out and enjoy it while you can, because cooler temperatures are on the way. We're seeing about those lower 80s for a majority of us here in Eastern Kentucky, and that's a big thanks to that strong southwesterly flow that we have seen today, showing 22 miles per hour in London, 8 Hazard and Jackson, 12 in Prestonsburg, has warmed us up quite nicely for today. And as we head throughout the rest of the evening, we'll hang on to those 70s. I think throughout the evening hours, we'll start to see those temperatures drop and those rain chances increase, especially by the time we get to right around midnight tonight. And then that rain really continues into your Friday and into your Saturday as well. Good news is sunshine does return by your Easter Sunday. I'll have that full forecast coming up for you guys in just a little bit. Will.
All righty, Paige. Thank you, ma'am. Well, a malware attack briefly kicked the Weather Channel off the air this morning. The network said in a tweet that federal law enforcement is investigating what went down. The Weather Channel's morning show, AMHQ, was scheduled to start at 6 a.m. Anchors were not on until more than an hour later to explain what happened. They also apologized for any inconvenience to viewers. The network is currently covering several spring weather threats across the country. Kentucky state parks will be getting a major makeover thanks to millions of dollars approved by the state legislature. Governor Matt Bevin visited Cumberland Falls State Park today announcing the money. WYMT's Phil Pendleton tells us more about what the governor had to say in announcing the investment.
The governor said that he wanted to choose Cumberland Falls. He says it's one of the premier Kentucky state parks, and making the announcement that every state park is going to benefit from $50 million in various improvements.
Really, this is a celebration for you.
State officials say for far too long the state park system has been ignored. Governor Bevin says the lodge at Lake Barkley is getting a new paint job for the first time in 49 years. That lodge was built 49 years ago. The lodge at Cumberland Falls was the backdrop for his announcement and the ceremonial bill signing of House Bill 268. Governor Bevin says needed improvements and upgrades have long been ignored at the state park system.
Because this is, again, go where the people go. We want them to have a great experience and then want to explore out into the others.
State officials also say they are hoping for a $100 million bonding investment to be made in the year 2020 to further improve the state park systems. In Whitley County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
The $50 million comes after an $18 million investment 3 years ago that includes hundreds of thousands of dollars of upgrades at the lodge at Cumberland Falls. Leaders of San Francisco and firefighters are commemorating the 113th anniversary of the 1906 earthquake. Sirens went off at exactly 5:12 this morning to mark the moment the quake hit the city. Huge fires followed that earthquake in 1906. The fires destroyed buildings in more than 80% of the city. The annual event happened at Lotta's Fountain in downtown. People began gathering at the spot after the quake. After the ceremony, people gathered at the Golden Fire Hydrant for the annual repainting ceremony. The hydrant was the only source of water during the aftermath of the earthquake. After 2 years of investigation, a redacted version of the Mueller report is finally out, and it is posted on the special counsel's website. The Attorney General says it found no evidence of collusion or obstruction by the President of the United States. CBS's Nicole Killian has more on what is in the report, as well as reaction from the President and Democrats at the White House.
This hoax, this should never happen to another president again.
President Trump hailed the Mueller report as it went public.
No collusion, no obstruction. There never was, by the way, and there never will be.
The 400-page report was delivered to Congress on a CD-ROM, nearly 2 hours after Attorney General William Barr laid out the findings.
The special counsel confirmed that the Russian government sponsored efforts to illegally interfere with the 2016 presidential election, but did not find that the Trump campaign or other Americans colluded in those efforts.
But on the issue of obstruction, the report noted if we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the president did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. However, we are unable to reach that judgment.
The report points to 10 episodes of possible obstruction, including the president's firing of FBI Director James Comey, and it suggests the president tried to seize control of the Russia probe.
When the president found out a special counsel had been appointed, he told then Attorney General Jeff Sessions, "Oh my God, this is terrible. This is the end of my presidency." The report adds, at one point, the president directed then White House counsel Don McGahn to call the acting attorney general and say Mueller must be removed because of conflicts of interest. Democrats want the full unredacted report and to hear from Mueller directly.
I think it was probably written with the intent of providing Congress a roadmap.
Attorney General Barr says he will allow congressional leaders to see a less redacted version of the report. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Attorney General Barr is scheduled to testify publicly before the Senate Judiciary Committee next month. Well, Saturday marks 20 years since one of the most shocking killing sprees in America, the massacre at Columbine High School. It was the deadliest high school shooting in United States history at the time and sparked national debates on gun control, bullying, and violence. Amy Over is 2 decades into what she describes as a journey, a continuous emotional struggle after surviving the mass shooting during her senior year at Columbine. 12 of Amy's classmates were killed, as well as her basketball coach, Dave Sanders, when 2 seniors opened fire inside the school. She credits Sanders with saving her life. Amy ran out of the front door amid a hail of gunfire.
I didn't start my therapy journey until after I had my daughter.
And what happened?
I dropped her off at kindergarten and or pre-kindergarten, and I had a panic attack. I had panic attacks, chronic panic attacks, for about 2 years.
Wow.
Debilitating panic attacks.
Intensive therapy has helped her tackle her trauma and survivor's guilt, and more recently, her work on the Rebels Project, an organization formed by Columbine survivors who help victims of other mass shootings. Today, she lives with her husband and 2 children not far from Littleton, Colorado. Amy says she is slowly moving forward in a healing process that may last a lifetime. Students at the Southeast Kentucky Community and Technical College in Middlesboro learned how to act in a disaster scenario. The nursing students collaborated with law enforcement and first responders to act out a mock disaster. The scenario was that a plane supposedly hit part of the Middlesboro campus, spreading their mock disaster across a large part of the campus, both inside and out, which taught students how to react should a real disaster happen.
It's also an opportunity, though, especially to learn that collaboration, to know that you're a team and that you're not just one person standing alone.
The mock disaster was part of the nursing students' last skills exam to pass the program. North Korea says it tested a new nuclear weapon with a powerful warhead, the first launch since an unsuccessful summit between President Trump and leader Kim Jong-un. State media claims Kim personally supervised the testing of a new nuclear weapon yesterday, saying it demonstrates the ability to deliver a powerful warhead. North Korea has not publicly announced a weapons test since November. The North did not give specifics about the weapon, and U.S. officials say it was not a ballistic missile or a threat to the United States. Heading over to Wall Street on this Thursday afternoon, the Dow closes up more than 106 points. Straight ahead on First at 4, one of the elite divers who helped rescue the Thai soccer team last July that made international headlines had to be rescued himself.
And soggy conditions return to the mountains, but will that affect your Easter Sunday? We'll break down that full forecast in just a few short minutes.